to another round of boxing. I am your humble host. You know that. Tell me, Tom O'Neill, I am the body snatcher. I appreciate the views. I appreciate the thumbs ups. I appreciate all that. I appreciate you guys appreciating boxing, really. God's honest, tell you the truth. I appreciate the comments. And yeah, here we are again. I saw some good comments. The guy that comment, and I'm so sorry, I'm forgetting the name at this point, but listen, but I didn't forget the comment, and I saw you guys want me to talk some MMA and or Muay Thai. I'm a big Muay Thai fan as far as the sport goes, of appreciating the sport. Of course, I've watched some Muay Thai fights, but I've never participated in learning any sort of Muay Thai, and I don't watch enough to really touch on that. MMA, on the other hand, you know, I'm a boxing fanatic, so I try to keep it to that. If you want good MMA content, I would definitely go check out the End New MMA show, which features your boy's own cousin on that show. He's killing it. They make good picks. If you guys gamble ever, they'll give you more underdog picks kind of even than I will on the show. But I'm very into MMA, and if you look through the catalog of the stuff on here, I do talk some MMA sometimes. Sometimes I kind of step out of my bounds a little bit, and I do that because I very much enjoy the sport as well. But primary, we're here to talk boxing. Another episode, by the way, of Unknown to Casuals will be coming out soon, where we do 3 fighters that normal kind of casual fans may not have heard of, to kind of give you guys a sense of some other great fighters that are out there. On the last episode we featured Robson Conceição, who will be taking on Shakur Stevenson soon. But today we are here to recap the Gonzales dogboe fight, and we are here to talk all things Danny Garcia versus Benavidez today. So first, let's start off with the recap of the fight last week. As we said, very competitive. I know I picked Garcia, but I told you guys it's not safe. It's a very competitive fight. I did have the fight a draw, for whatever that's worth, and I thought you could have leaned either guy. So am I mad that they leaned Isaac Dogboe? Absolutely not. There's a big golden rule in boxing that a lot of people are really, I mean, I'm just telling you, in these comments and stuff, it's not on my page now, but I've seen them a lot, and I've dealt with them in the past, and the robbery thing is just thrown around today, you know? I mean, it really is. If you guys are willing to say, like, I picked the other fucking guy to win, you guys, okay? If you guys, like, say anything about that fight being that's as close as a fight can be. So if you score a fight a draw, this is the rule. Or if you score a fight by 2 rounds, which would mean you'd only have 1 swing round different to a draw, right? 1 round makes a draw, because if you score it for 2 rounds, somebody wins 1 and somebody loses 1, okay? So somebody wins a point at the same time that somebody's, you know, losing a point. So if you score a fight by 2 rounds, that's only by a 1 round difference. So then the fight's a draw if it goes the other way, you understand? So the golden rule in boxing that a lot of fans are not really, hold on, god damn it, all right, there it goes, that a lot of fans are not really familiar with is that you cannot say the word robbery for fights that are very close, and that's just it. And you can shout till the cows come home that you thought the other guy should have won. That doesn't make it a robbery. If you watch boxing for just 1 month, usually less, usually maybe, let's say 3 weeks, 3 weekends in a row, you watch more than the main event. You don't even have to watch the watch the main card 3 weeks in a row. You will see a robbery, okay? You'll see a real robbery. So it happens enough they can't use that other times, all right? So this Dogboe Gonzales fight was absolutely pretty much just as close as it gets. Very, very competitive throughout. I basically thought easy enough in the beginning of the fight to score rounds is what I thought. So the first 3 rounds are for sure dogboe. The 4th round is for sure Gonzales, with the most with the most impactful punch of the fight was in the 4th round by way of Gonzales. So Joet hits dogboe with an incredible shot there. He definitely steals us, and now we have a 3-1 situation going into round 5. And then round 5, very close as well, I thought. So if you give that one to dogboe, which I believe some of these judges did, that would right there be the difference in it, because Joet Gonzales takes over kind of the later second half of the fight, and they all gave him the 4th round as well, which would have scored it a draw, down the middle, 5-5, with brown eyes, smile like the sunrise. All right, so anyways, that would have sealed the deal for it right there, and that's probably what I'm guessing happened, is that the difference was that round 5. Sometimes what happens with these judges is you look at some, say, okay, that, like I'm doing now, that was the close round, so that must have been the one that they, and then you see the scorecards and they're just like all over the place. They're like, no, we gave fucking we scored the fight that Gonzales lost, but we gave him the first 3 rounds too, that he definitely like lost those rounds. I mean, they'll just be fucking all over the place. So I don't know, because I haven't revisited on the judges' scorecards yet, unfortunately, but yeah, very close fight. And I told you guys to watch it because it would be very entertaining. Very close, and also, what you don't always get with close fights, very entertaining all the way through. I love the corner work for Isaac Dogboe. His coach telling him, I believe in you. We need this round, being real with him. Dealing with some mental issues that Isaac Dogboe has from being a hard hitter and whatnot. The coach saw and said this. He said this all the way through the fight. So the first 3 rounds he's doing perfectly good. Those were clear rounds for Dogboe. And then he starts just like he has a bad 4th round. And from there, like I said, the 5th was close enough, but a lot of that later half of the fight was taken over by Joet Gonzales, as he learned that, you know what, like I said, he's longer, he can box a bit, and since Dogboe hits harder, I figured, why the hell not sit on the outside and piece this guy up with the jab? But on the outside, Joet Gonzales, for some reason, was not sticking the jab that much. So being ineffective on the outside, it didn't suit him. So that's why he lost those first 3 rounds, not throwing the jab enough. However, he did take over that later half, and it was surprisingly by not so much surprise. I told you guys he likes to scrap as well. But usually when he sits on the outside, he can be more active than he was in this fight. So his success came from walking Dogboe down, which I knew he could have success there, but I thought, now you're putting yourself into danger, because you're scrapping with a guy that looks for a nice counter shot, and he hits very hard. With those short little stubby arms and lots of muscle on him, he can crack. So I just didn't think that was the best game plan. But Joet I was thinking, wow, I mean, you showed against what I said. You showed you can do this thing. I thought it was incredibly close, so you can't be mad either way. And I am happy for Isaac Dogboe because, like I said, his coach dealing with mental issues with Dogboe, telling him after that 4th round, which he won the first 3. So when you see a guy just get cracked a little, again, he didn't get dropped, but he got wobbled, and it was a nice down hooking, in a downward momentum of a overhand right, is how he got cracked there, because it was boom, hit him over the gloves, because he was blocking the straight hook a lot. And then so he just dipped down, made him slightly lower his hands, still got him over his chin, and looped it over. lots of different angles to throw punches on. And that's the kind of thing you'll see from a guy like Joet Gonzalez, who can box a little bit. So that was that. He won the first 3 rounds, dogboe, and getting cracked like that is just only showing that in the 4th is fine. But I'm sorry, so that's fine. And then so you lost the 4th, so that's still 3-1. So coming out for the 5th, the 6th, the 7th, and just kind of being different, fighting different. He didn't get wobbled that bad, you guys. So that is a mental lapse, and his coach, dogboe's coach, saw that and said, and that's very good work by him, and said, why would you do this? Why would you do this? Why would you give this away? We got to get this round. We're going to get this round. You won the first 3. Now you're starting to give rounds away. You know, he said, can you do this? Can you do this? Because I believe you can do this. And it was just very good. Very good work from him, because it's not just all about motivation. Because it's not, come on, we work hard. Let's, you know, it's not a motivation, just a motivation. I mean, that part's inspiring as well, but that's what a lot of coaches kind of just lean on a lot of times. And this was the difference, is that he saw what the problem was. It was a mental lapse from dogboe having some losses, fighting Navarrete, fighting at the bigger levels, fighting again in this fight as an underdog. I told you the odds would be tight. I thought they should even be tighter than what they were. They made Joet Gonzalez a minus almost 300 for this fight, which again in boxing is not that huge, but I thought they'd be a lot tighter, close to pick'em odds, no matter who was the favorite. But yeah, so fighting as an underdog now, getting cracked, losing that round, then your mind starts playing games, and his coach knew what to tell him in that corner, and he made him fight harder and definitely win back some of those rounds. I thought that he won back 2 other rounds past the first 3, and that would make it a draw. But you give him 6 rounds to 4, which is how they scored it. It was a split decision, by the way, so somebody gave the fight. One of the judges gave it to Gonzalez. But, yeah, close, competitive fight, great fight. Let's move on to this weekend on Showtime. Danny Swift Garcia taking on Benavidez Jr. Now, listen, we're going to give both sides here. Danny Garcia, boxing kind of, I don't want to say superstar, but he was almost kind of pushing that at a time. He did very, very good work at 140 pounds, beating world champions left and right. He's a 2-time world champion himself. I would have to go back and check this, but I believe that Danny Garcia was undefeated at that weight. Drop in the comments if I'm wrong, because you got to love to fucking get after it. Let's do it, dude. But I believe he was undefeated at 140 and started taking some losses when he moved up to 147. Mind you, he's fighting very good talent at 147 and did have a couple of wins in there. Very competitive fight with Sean Porter. Not so much with Errol Spence, but that's later down the road. And in my opinion, you can see a steady decline in him letting his hands go. So Danny Garcia relying on that very good, powerful counter left hook. That's his punch. That's his punch, you guys. But Danny Garcia these days, not letting his hands go enough, but still having that really powerful kind of left hook and being able to counter fighters very well and box very well. Not take a whole ton of damage sometimes as well, but not letting his hands go, just letting rounds slip. Oh, another round slips. And they're like, well, Danny Garcia's not getting beat up. And, hey, remember he landed that really good counter there, but it's scored round by round, and he's letting too many go. And he reminds me of Jermell Charlo in a lot of ways, because Charlo has even some wins that were closer than they needed to be. He has the loss to Castaño. Before that, he had the loss to Tony Harrison. And why did he have those losses? Because he didn't take a lot of damage. I mean, he took some good shots, but the fights start off with, let me be cautious, because Jermell Charlo's got a good crack in his hands, right? He's got dogs in his hands. So let me be cautious and try to box my. And then all of a sudden, you always just, you see like 3-4 rounds go by. I mean, usually even just 2 rounds, 3 rounds, they go by and the guy goes, you know, whoever it is, they win or lose. They just kind of go, oh, wow, he's not throwing punches back at me here. So, I mean, fuck, I don't have to be this cautious. I mean, this guy's not, like, let me just not get careless, basically, for one good counter, and I'm good. And that's what Castano did, and that's what Tony Harrison did to Jermell Charlo. Not because Charlo's not great, because he is. And not because he doesn't have great boxing IQ, because he does. Not because he doesn't take a lot of damage, he doesn't. And he can crack, and he's great at countering people. That's like Danny Garcia. It's just the same thing, man. Let your fucking hands go. I want to see, I don't care if Danny Garcia wins or loses this fight. I want to see him throwing punches. I really do. You guys, it's not a dumb, like, caveman thing. It's case in point kind of deals, like I referred it to Jermell Charlo. It's the same kind of deal. He needs to let his hands go so he makes the fight competitive. That's really as simple as this is. Before I even go on any further, which I will, because you know your boy loves to ramble about boxing, but that is as simple as this is. I think Danny Garcia has a good chance at winning this fight if he lets his fucking hands go, dude. If he just throws more punches. He's got the counter left hook down. That's all he's ever waiting for. So, fine. Keep that. Just stick a jab out there sometimes, buddy. You know, and you'll win more of these rounds when it surely goes to decision. You guys, this fight is going to decision. And as long as Danny Garcia lets his hands go, he should be able to win against Benavidez Jr., who has fought very good competition, but so has Danny Garcia. And, you know, Benavidez fought Terrence Crawford, and, you know, just kind of like he gave Terrence Crawford a really good fight. How did he do it? Letting his hands go, boxing at range because he was lankier, because he had reach, and he's just kept letting his hands go. And had enough of a chin on him to stand up to some shots. Of course, he still got stopped later. But he was doing very well in that fight before he got stopped. Now, in my mind, watching that fight when it happened, I immediately thought, damn, man, that was competitive. You did good, man. I didn't think that you would do anything like that against fucking Terrence Crawford, man. You would have maybe even been pulling through to possibly win that fight if you didn't get stopped in, I believe it was the 11th round. So he's a great boxer, but one, the inactivity. He has had one fight since 2018. And a lot of people say he should have lost that fight, which they granted him a win on. You know, I don't like the inactivity for Benavidez. I don't like the little leg stuff that he's got going on, which will impede his movement even more. I don't like how he has seemed like a changed man since that Terrence Crawford fight. Sometimes, you guys, in boxing, this applies as well to MMA, and I would branch this out to every combat sport. Sometimes you'll see a fight where it changes someone, and it's weird how it happens. I'll tell you that, because one, everybody's got a different kind of ability to endure damage and to be durable. And this isn't talking about if you get knocked out or not. This is talking about whether you can endure the damage, not get knocked down, or if you endure a lot and you do get knocked out. Sometimes those guys can come back and win more fights and still be just the same, look just the same. And sometimes you have a fight like that Benavidez Crawford fight where you can see that it has changed someone. You want like MMA talk for, again, to relate to the Danny Garcia thing and not letting his hands go, and also to Benavidez, like in the form of being a changed man, I believe. Tyron Woodley, he was like that. he was a great champion. He was a great champion. I wasn't even like, oh, his biggest fan. But you had to admire the guy's work. And then he had one fight where he got absolutely fucking dominated by Kamaru Usman just in wrestling. He didn't take a shit ton of damage. You always take some damage in a fight. It's a fight. So, of course, he took some damage. He didn't take life-altering damage. He just got wrestled and thrown around and controlled whenever and for however long Usman wanted at any given time, and just had his way with him. And that was how he lost his belt, Tyron Woodley. And ever since that fight, he was a changed human being. He wasn't getting knocked out for like he'd go all the way, go all the distance. He didn't look chinny, but he was afraid of letting his hands go at all. The frozen one. He fucking was afraid of letting his hands go. And why would you be? You're one of the baddest fucking fighters on the planet. It's weird how it happens, man. And I need to see both these guys perform well. I want the question of this fight is, who was changed worse, right? Who was altered worse? And I believe that that's Benavidez from that fucking Terrence Crawford fight, when he has not looked the same, when he has been inactive, came back, got blessed with a decision that he possibly, shouldn't have gotten, right? And just looking more flat-footed, his legs, not moving like in the way that they used to be, right? And even him, he lets his hands go more than Danny Garcia a little bit, but he's going to be cautious, I bet. I bet he's going to be more cautious even, and we see a slower progression of that kind of thing. Whereas Danny Garcia, his only problem is don't let your hands go. He's still not getting knocked out. He's still not, even by fucking Errol Spence Jr., right? Even by Sean Porter, he's not getting knocked out at a bigger weight class than maybe he should have been at. But here's the other thing. He was a good 140er. He had some success at 147, but had these losses, right, up there. Now this fight is at 154, okay? So that's concerning for Danny Garcia. I think that you don't need to knock out a 154-pound fighter, in Benavidez Jr. I think that you just need to let your hands go enough and land some clean left hooks that don't need to knock him, and you'll win enough rounds against a guy that's not looked the same, right? And also, if we're being honest, two fighters that have had different heights of success. Danny Garcia's heights of success have far surpassed Benavidez. And then so if he's up here and Benavidez is down here, this is just simple math, you guys. Really, you never know because it's fighting. But what I'm saying is just true. If Danny Garcia's up here at his highest level in his prime, which he's not in anymore, and Benavidez Jr. is up, but he's down here in his prime, which he is not in anymore, if they've both fallen, who's fallen farther? Because Danny Garcia would have needed to had a big fall from grace to drop down, even though the guy's bigger. I think Danny Garcia can win this fight, and it's dependent on him letting his hands go. I do not see a way that Danny Garcia will lose this fight if he's throwing a good amount of punches per round, and that's just as simple as it is. If we see Danny Garcia sitting there, blocking, moving in circles, and looking for only one good counter left, and then eating shots against the glove, like 4 shots against the glove, shelling up, dips 1, gets hit only with 1 out of a 6-7 putt, he could lose the fight again in traditional Danny Garcia fashion of late. Just let your hands go more, and you got this, I think. But a good fight nonetheless. Check it out. If you got Showtime, it's on Showtime. I don't believe this one's a pay-per-view, which that would be cool. And I don't think it is. So I'll be watching that as well. And until next time, loyal fight fans, you know, I'm going to mention this at the beginning of next show because I'm just going to fucking brag about myself here. But you guys go check out the little clips, okay? The From the Future fight picks are not just one fight. Sometimes they're one fight. Sometimes they're bigger parlays of 4 or 5 fights. You guys, I'm trying to give you guys money because these are the safe ones. So not this fight, not last week's fight that I talk about on this show. But if you're into gambling, check out the shorts on this channel From the Future fight picks, because I've given you 3 to 4 in a row now, and 2 of them big parlays, and they have all and the other ones one fight picks in kind of closer odds fights, and I have given you guys money every single weekend. And every one of the fight, listen, if one of the fights on the parlay don't go through and the other 5 do, it doesn't count. So I've given you guys the safe picks. That's where those safe picks will be from now on. And on the show, we talk these upcoming fights, and we'll give you picks nonetheless, but they may not be fully recommended to gamble on. Those From the Future fight picks are what I live and die on, that I'm telling you guys I can put together some good parlays for you.